When we think about the people who build a nation, our minds usually jump to presidents, prime ministers, the big names. But what about the unsung heroes? The ones behind the scenes who actually built the foundations of society, brick by brick. Well, today, we're telling the story of one of those giants. Okay, just try to imagine this. Absolute chaos. A country has just been born, but in the process, millions of people have been displaced. Someone had to step in and figure out how to resettle 500,000 of them. Desperate farmers who needed new land, a new home, a new life. I mean, who could possibly manage a crisis on that scale?
All right, now picture this. That same young nation is struggling with food security. It can't even feed its own people. Someone needed to lay the groundwork for an agricultural miracle, a genuine revolution that would make sure the country could feed itself for generations. So who was the driving force behind that?
And finally, one more for you. Think of a brand new city being built from scratch, designed by a world-famous architect. But a plan is just a plan, right? It's just lines on paper. It takes a totally different kind of genius to turn all that concrete into a living, breathing community. To give a city its character, its art, its soul. Who was that person?
Well, the incredible answer to all three of those questions is the same. One single person was at the heart of all of these massive, nation-defining projects. His name was Mohinder Singh Randhawa.
So let's really get to know this true architect of modern India. M.S. Randhawa wasn't your typical bureaucrat, not by a long shot. He was a builder, a visionary, and honestly, a complete force of nature. This timeline just gives you a quick glimpse of his incredible career. He joined the elite Indian civil service way back in 1934. By 1947, he was right in the center of the storm, managing both the joy of independence and the horror of partition. Then his career takes this wild turn, first into agriculture, then into urban planning, and by 1968, he's leading India's very first agricultural university. And believe me, even this just scratches the surface.
To really, truly understand the man, we have to start with his first great test, navigating the absolute unimaginable chaos of the partition of India. Just so we're all on the same page here, the partition in 1947 was a world-shattering event. It split the subcontinent into India and Pakistan, and in doing so, it unleashed horrific violence. Millions of people were forced to flee their homes in one of the biggest and most brutal migrations ever recorded in human history.
So, right in the middle of all this chaos, Randhawa was tasked with resettling 500,000 displaced farmers in East Punjab. 500,000. Think about that number. That's 500,000 families with nothing but what they could carry, all desperate for a place to start over. This wasn't just some administrative challenge. It was a deeply, profoundly human crisis. So how on earth did he do it? Well, Randhawa was famous for his integrity and his courage. He wasn't a guy who sat in an office. Nope. He would actually travel incognito, undercover, into the most dangerous riot-torn areas just to see what the real problems were on the ground. His hands-on, fair-minded approach saved countless lives. And get this, while all this was happening, he also organized the very first Independence Day ceremony at the Red Fort. Just incredible. After somehow steering the state through that crisis, Randhawa shifted his focus from resettlement to, well, sustenance. He began laying the groundwork for a massive agricultural revolution. Now, this is no small title. While other people get credit at the national level, in the absolutely crucial state of Punjab, Randhawa is recognized as the father of the Green Revolution. He was the administrator who put all the pieces in place to make sure India could achieve food security. So how did he do it? First, he completely modernized the country's top agricultural research body, ICAR. He championed scientific farming and the use of modern fertilizers. But maybe his greatest contribution was dreaming up and then creating the Punjab Agricultural University, or PAU, in Ludhiana. That place became the engine room for the Green Revolution's success.
From feeding a nation to building its future, Randhawa's next monumental project was shaping India's first modern planned city, Chandigarh. Now, a lot of people know that the legendary architect Le Corbusier designed Chandigarh. But a design, it's just paper. Randhawa was the implementer. He was the guy on the ground who turned those blueprints into reality. And crucially, he used his deep personal knowledge of horticulture to landscape the city, which is how it earned the name the City Beautiful.
And this quote right here, this reveals his entire philosophy. For Randhawa, a city was so much more than just roads and buildings. He truly believed that for a city to live, to breathe, it needed a soul. And that soul was art and culture. And he put that belief into action. When officials found Nekchand's secret, illegally built rock garden, they wanted to demolish it. But Randhawa saw its genius and personally saved it. He established the city's famous Rose Garden. He fought the government to build its museum after the project was canceled. And he even allotted land at super cheap prices to artists and writers, creating a vibrant cultural community from scratch. But you see, his love for art went way beyond just a civic duty. It was a deep, personal, academic passion. Turns out, Randhawa was also a pioneering art historian who would introduce a hidden world of Indian art to the public. He became completely fascinated with Kangra miniature paintings, which were largely unknown back then. So he approached it like a scientific expedition. He traveled all through the remote mountain villages of Himachal Pradesh, tracking down families who owned these rare artworks. Many were secretive about their collections, but he persuaded them to let him see them. He then used his scientific mind to classify all the different styles, and he published a series of books that introduced this beautiful art form to the entire world. So when you try to tie all these incredible threads together, administrator, agriculturalist, city builder, art historian, what do you even call someone like that? This was a true polymath. The sheer breadth of his knowledge is just staggering. He was a scientist who earned a doctorate for his research on algae. He was a prolific author who wrote about everything from agriculture to art to biology. He was a linguist fluent in English, Punjabi, Hindi, and Urdu. And, above all, he was an institution builder, creating legacies that would long, long outlast him. I mean, when you look at it all together like this, it's so clear. M.S. Randhawa left a permanent mark on modern India. From managing a massive human crisis to ensuring the nation's food security, from building its most modern city to preserving its ancient art, his legacy is truly everywhere you look. And that really just leaves us with a final thought. We live in an age that prizes specialization, right? Digging deeper and deeper into one narrow field. But Randhawa's life just completely challenges that whole idea. It's a powerful reminder of what's possible when you have boundless curiosity, a passion for public service, and a refusal to be confined to just a... You know, when we think about how great nations are built, a few famous names always come to mind, right? The architects, the visionaries. But behind them, there are always the builders, the ones who get things done, people whose names we might not know, but whose impact is absolutely everywhere. Today, we're going to talk about one of those incredible people. So think about Chandigarh, India's famous planned city. The first name that probably pops into your head is the legendary architect, Le Corbusier. But was he really the one who breathed life into all that concrete? Who actually gave the city beautiful its soul? Well, the answer might just surprise you, because the real story of Chandigarh, and honestly of modern Punjab itself, has another hero at its center. A man who took a brilliant blueprint and turned it into a living, breathing city. And that hero was Mohinder Singh Randhawa. Now this guy, he wasn't just an Indian civil service officer. He was a botanist, an art historian, and an absolute visionary. His work didn't just shape a city. It helped shape the future of an entire region. So where does his story as a nation builder even begin? Well, it starts right in the fire of one of India's most traumatic events. His first huge test was managing the unbelievable human crisis during the partition of India back in 1947. As the Deputy Commissioner of Delhi, he was thrown right into the heart of the chaos. And to really understand what was happening on the ground, he would famously disguise himself and walk through the most troubled neighborhoods. This wasn't some guys sitting in an office. This hands-on, fair approach saved so many lives. And get this, he was also the man in charge of organizing India's very first Independence Day ceremony at the Red Fort.
But his biggest challenge was still to come. After the riots, his next task was to resettle 500,000 displaced farmers who had fled from West Punjab, many with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Just let that number sink in for a second. 500,000 people.
I mean, what a monumental task. As the Director General of Rehabilitation, he handled this with incredible integrity and a deep sense of humanity, providing land, hope, and a path to a new life for 500,000 people. You could easily argue that this alone was his greatest achievement. Okay, so he's managed this massive human crisis. What's next? he turns his attention to another huge, looming threat: food security. And he would go on to become a key figure in India's agricultural transformation. For his work, he earned a pretty incredible title: the Father of the Green Revolution in East Punjab. His leadership at the Indian Council for Agricultural Research, that's ICAR for short, it was completely transformative. He pushed for modernization, for new research, and for practical solutions that would eventually help feed a nation. Let's just break down what he actually did. First, he totally modernized ICAR. Then, he promoted the use of fertilizers to dramatically boost crop yields. And this is a big one. He came up with the idea for and actually founded the Punjab Agricultural University, the very first of its kind in India. He even served as its vice-chancellor later on, cementing its place as an absolute powerhouse of agricultural innovation. And now we get to what he's perhaps most famous for, but it's also where his role is often misunderstood. We're talking about Chandigarh. He was the implementer, the man who took an architectural plan and made it into a real, beloved city. Look, Le Corbusier was the visionary architect, no doubt. He designed the master plan. But M.S. Randhawa, he was the executor. He was the one chairing the planning committee, focusing on everything that makes a city livable: the green spaces, the culture, the landscaping. He was the one who added the soul. And you can hear his whole philosophy in his own words right here. He argued that a city isn't just concrete and steel. For it to really thrive, its people need to be surrounded by art, nature, and culture. And he fought for that vision even when others wanted to cut the budget. And here is the proof. The incredible landscaping that earned Chandigarh the title City Beautiful, that was him. The famous Rose Garden, also him. And this is amazing. When officials found Nekchand's secret rock garden and wanted to demolish it, Randhawa saw the artistic genius in it, and he saved it. That world-famous landmark exists today because of him. He also successfully persuaded the government to build the city's main arts museum. But the story doesn't even end there. You'd think, okay, administrator, city builder, that's a full career, right? Well, his story gets even deeper. Turns out he was also a serious intellectual, a true Renaissance man with a shocking range of passions. Now get this, on top of everything else we've just talked about, the man was a scientist. He held a doctorate in science for his pioneering research on a specific family of green algae called Zygnomaceae. I mean, can you imagine? The same guy planning a city and resettling refugees was also a leading expert on microscopic organisms. And he brought that same scientific precision to his love for art. He would travel deep into the Himalayas, tracking down forgotten art collections. He'd interview royal families, catalog different styles, and publish definitive books that brought the magnificent painting traditions of Kangra and other regions to the world's attention. The sheer breadth of his mind is just staggering. He wasn't just a man of action. He was a prolific writer, authoring detailed, meticulously researched books on an incredible spectrum of topics, from algae to agriculture, from sociology to art history, a true polymath. So when you put it all together, what do you get? Randhawa's life was just this masterclass in service, in vision, and in execution. His legacy isn't something stuck in a history book. It's still alive, still in full bloom today. Just look at this timeline of his career. At each of these key points, he wasn't just filling a role. He was a builder, an innovator, and a leader who fundamentally reshaped every institution he led for the better. When you boil it all down, it's just incredible. He built the institutions that kick-started the Green Revolution. He managed the resettlement of 500,000 people. He laid the groundwork to help feed an entire nation. And he gave one of India's most modern cities its heart and soul. It's an incredible story of how one life can create countless legacies that continue to touch millions. And it really leaves you with a question, doesn't it? What does it truly take to build a future? Is it the person who dreams up the blueprint, or the one who has the courage, the wisdom, and the sheer grit to make it real?